What's up, YouTube? It's Chef Donnie with the pot, and today we're gonna be making a simple chicken Alfredo and red Moscato fruit salad. So we're gonna start with 2 chicken breasts, and the first step is we're going to clean them, and then we're gonna trim all the excess fat off of them. Next, we're gonna cut the chicken into thin strips. The main reason that we do this is so the chicken gets cooked all the way through during the cooking process, because we want all the chicken to finish at about the same time, but also it gives us a little bit more surface area to season the chicken. Next, we're gonna take a paper towel and just pat all the chicken dry, because we don't want excess water getting in the pan, because we're gonna put oil in the pan, and oil and water do not mix well. Now we're gonna season the chicken, and here I'm using this all-purpose Greek seasoning blend. And when I use this, I usually don't use other seasonings, but during the cooking process, I'll be adding more seasoning. Take notice to how much I'm using, as well as the fact that I'm rubbing the seasoning into the chicken. That's an important step, because if you don't do that, then all of the seasoning is just gonna fall off when you put it into the pan. And we want the chicken to be flavorful, not the pan. Now we're gonna start our main pan on medium-high heat and put some olive oil in the pan so we can cook the chicken. Also add a tablespoon of butter to the pan as well. Turn the heat down to medium and put the chicken in the pan. Now that we have our chicken started, we could leave it alone to cook for a while until it's time to flip it. And now we're gonna add salt to the water and bring it to a high boil. Here's where it gets fun, because now we gotta start juggling so that our timing comes out perfectly. We got our water boiling or starting to boil on the left side, as well as we got our chicken happening on the left side. And now I'm about to start my vegetables on the right side. In this case, I'm just using mushrooms. Add olive oil to the pan, as well as another tablespoon of butter. Also, we're gonna have our vegetable pan on about medium heat. Turn the chicken down to medium-low heat, and now it's time to flip it. Now it's time to flip the chicken, and notice the color when I flip it over. It's because we only flip it once during the cooking process. If you flip it too much, it's gonna look raw and lifeless, because all of the seasoning is gonna come off, but as well, it's gonna cook unevenly. Now it's time to add our mushrooms to the pan on the right. Add a little bit more olive oil to the pan. If you see white stuff on the chicken that's fat, take it out, because we don't want it to get into the final dish. Some of the olive oil has been cooked off, so you have to add a little bit more so the chicken doesn't burn. Before I take the chicken off, I'm gonna cut it open and check the color. It should only be slightly pink, just because we're gonna do a little bit more cooking when we add the mushrooms to the chicken. The big piece of chicken wasn't finished with the rest of the chicken, because it is a little bit thicker than the rest of them. And that's why I showed you at the beginning, you have to cut into thin slices, but apparently I didn't cut this one thin enough. I washed and dried the pan because I don't want any of that gristle to get in the final dish. And on the side, I cut my chicken up into bits, and now we're gonna add it back into the dish. And now we're gonna add the mushrooms as well to the chicken and add more seasoning. I'm gonna add some more olive oil and butter to the pan, just because we want the flavors to blend when I put the seasonings in. Disregard the fact that this is steak seasoning, because it really does not matter what the container says or what it's branded for. It's all about what the seasoning tastes like and imagining what it would taste like with the dish. Now that we got that butter and oil in the pan, the flavors are gonna start blending really well together with the mushrooms and the chicken. Now that we got the chicken and the mushrooms happening, it's time to add the noodles to the water. I'm feeding 3 people with this, so I'm only going to use 3/4 of the pack. Break them in half and add them to the boiling water. Add some olive oil to the pan and stir the noodles. That way the noodles don't stick together as much. Add a large clove of garlic, mince it, and go ahead and scrape it off into the dish. Stir so the garlic gets all over the chicken and the mushrooms. Stir the noodles so they don't stick together. Sprinkle the noodles with parsley flakes, stir them, and then set them aside. Now get your heavy cream ready and go ahead and add it to the dish, just to cover the entire bottom of the dish. Add Parmesan, just to sprinkle over the entire top of the dish. Now it's time to add the noodles back to the dish. Blend everything in the pan together so you get the sauce all over the noodles. Now we're gonna add a little bit of seasoning salt, Morton, not Lowry's, because Lowry's is too salty. Put the lid on and turn the heat down low. Now we're gonna work on the salad. I'm about to cut up my apples first. After you got your apples into bite-sized pieces and you have all the seeds and the core out, add it to a container, and you need a lid for the container. Add a little bit of white vinegar to the apples, not too much. Add a little bit of cinnamon to the apples as well. And finally, we're gonna add some red Moscato to the apples. Little bit more. Now close up the container. Now add your spring mix to the bowl. And you can use any salad mix, but my favorite one to use is the spring mix. Now I'm gonna toss my apples in the bowl. And you can use any sauce that you like, but here I'm using Zesty Italian. Now we're gonna toss our salad, and after that, we're about done. If you want more cooking tutorials like this, go ahead and give me a like and subscribe. Also share and comment on the post, and that will help me out a lot. Thank you.